Becky, and today we're going to be doing our July TBR. It's currently very grey and I think it's going to rain and miserable, but I am hoping for a nice sunny July where I get to read a lot and lay out in the sun. So I have picked a rather ambitious target of 6 large hardback, mostly fantasy books to read, so let's go through them. The first one is a book that I've actually already read, which is City of Last Chances by Adrian Tchaikovsky. I've read not too far into it. I think I've read about a third into this already, and it's already very much like political intrigue. There's lots of different factions going on with so many different characters that all have their own kind of motives and interests. And it's set in this world where they live in kind of a town that's split by districts by who's living there, but they also live on the edge of kind of a forest that if you enter it without the right protections or the right people, you often don't come out of it, or when people do come out of it, they're not quite the same. So it's all very intriguing. There's a lot of mystery elements to it, and there's some fantasy elements too. And I've always loved Adrian Tchaikovsky's work, so I'm reading yet another one of his books because I swear he brings out so many books per year. And then because it's taking me so long to get back to this book, I also have House of Open Wounds, which is the second book in the series. I believe it follows most of the same characters from the first book, and yeah, I'm excited to read both of these, hopefully get to binge read them because I just love the world building that Adrian Tchaikovsky has. Speaking of world building, the next book on my TBR is The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. I love Mark Lawrence's books. I've loved all of his fantasy books previously, and I'm really excited to jump into this one. I don't actually know anything about this book yet, but I've heard so many good things based on online reviews, and I know I love his writing, his characters, and most of all his world building as well. He always creates these worlds that really feel lived in, and there's so much lore behind them that you can just get lost in them. So this one is both an amazing author, and then it's also set in this large library, which I'm hoping you can kind of see it on the camera. The front cover is just gorgeous as well. So as soon as I saw this art book, I basically pre-ordered this book, and it's been sat there waiting for me to read since then. Next we have Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong, and I read her previous series, which was based on Romeo and Juliet, and I adored it. It was a great romance/tragedy. There was lots of action-packed scenes. It was very different for a retelling that wasn't just like a straight-up story-to-story talking about it. This one is another Shakespeare play. It's based on Antony and Cleopatra, which is another great love story, but also probably will end up quite tragic, and I'm expecting lots of action in this book as well. Next we have Song of Silver, Flame Like Night. Now this is another epic fantasy. I've gone so fantasy heavy this month, but I've been meaning to read this since last, I think January or February, when the pre-order came through, and even before that I pre-ordered it as soon as I heard it was coming out. I adore the front cover. It just looks like an amazing book, but this is a start of a duology epic fantasy which is based on Chinese mythology, and I've just been really excited to read it ever since I heard about it. I don't know the full plot of what's going to happen. I haven't been spoiled for it yet, but I'm excited to finally get to it. And then last but not least, we have The Atlas Complex by Olivia Blake. So this is the third book in the Atlas 6 trilogy. I believe this is the last book. And I read the first 2 books. I binged them back to back because they were both out, and I've been waiting for this one to be released. And then life got in the way when the pre-order came in, and so I haven't actually read it yet. But I am excited to finally find out what happens to the 6 of them and what's actually going on. So yeah, that's the 6 books. I'm dropping them all over the place that I'm going to be reading in July. Hopefully it's going to be a great reading month, and I hope you have a lot to read too.